Okay, sit rep. I am super sick. 4:30 in the morning on the 10th of December. One is in 10 days, exactly 10 days. This is about as much as I've completed in my costume. I have a fair bit of leather. Hopefully, this is enough for the Enoch build. If it's not, there is no time to order more. In total, I am royally screwed. 10 days to complete printing the rest of the armor, sand, prep, polish, paint, weather, stitch the fabrics, stitch the leather, make the prop, durability test, reinforce parts that might need it, and then hopefully make it a little comfortable. I do have another part printing peak. This should be done in another hour, but about another, I'd say 7 days worth of printing to go, which means I can't wait for anything to get done printing before I continue the rest. And even in the I've done 2 parts which are almost fully sanded. The rest of them are kind of primed, and then a lot of them have not really been, nothing's really been done. They've just been sitting out for the past month or so. Crunch is quite something, isn't it? Alright, status update. I've managed to set up the templates for the leather hangy down bits and the belt that needs to go around. The first part that was printed has been done the first coat of paint. It needs a lot of sanding. I luckily still have a full roll of this leather left for all the floppy bits that I left. Enough black leather for the holster. Finished prepping most of the files that need to be printed. There are quite a few left, and each file is taking around 17 hours. So an example as to how sick I am. I let out the mother of all sneezes, and yeah, I turned into 11 from Stranger Things. Wonderful. So this suit officially has blood, sweat of course, and tears as well. 2 halves of the chest plate have been completed and PLA welded together. It's quite a messy PLA weld because it's not really going to be seen. But now what we're going to do is reinforce the insides of this with fiberglass and some epoxy, because last thing I want is this snapping or the layers separating or the PLA weld popping or anything of that sorts later on, because this being the chest, it's going to interfere with bending and moving, and it's probably going to put some stress points. So just to be on the safer side, some epoxy. This I'm actually using a polyester gel coat because I didn't have anything else, and some leftover fiberglass. First layer of fiberglass done. About 12 to 16 hours later, I'll add another much less viscous thin top coat to seal all the fibers in, but this should be ample strong enough without really adding any weight. TPU print done. I wouldn't call this a complete success, although successfully mitigated having a disaster. A lot of stringing, but made sure the stringing was contained on the inside of the print, so the outer surface is still neat. Let's see how we can post-process this now. Prop check. The blaster's been printed. It's just kind of assembled for now, just so that I can make the holster. If you might notice, this isn't the actual blaster of what Captain Enoch uses, but I like this blaster a lot more, so I decided to do this. Had to make a custom holster, so this is the template for it. There'll be another loop here. Need to make this out of leather. For now, this looks like... yeah. Looks like this should work. Now let's just redo this whole thing in leather and neatly. That's the template. By the way, this has also been prepped. This is the primary waist belt. These are the hanging down bits, and this is the primary belt. Finish mounting it in the back with a little bit of a swivel. Need to figure out what to do for the buckle. Let's see where this goes. It's only been about 30 hours. A lot more work to do. Okay, it's been just about 50 hours since we started, and I think we've made some decent progress. So, main armor parts have been sanded, prepped. These ones are almost ready for their final paint job. These ones are about, I'd say, 70% there. Few new parts have been printed. Actually, quite new parts have been printed. One sec, I'll show you that. Tried printing some stuff out of TPU for all the flexible joints. This was a pain in the ass. Okay, here's the update on the suit. I think we've made a pretty decent amount of progress. Holster for the gun is done. Blaster printing is also done. Still needs to be assembled. May have already mentioned it. This isn't the actual blaster, but I like this one better. I like it so much, I printed a second one. Leather work, getting there. Most of it has been done. Just need to attach everything, clean up the edges, and then last comes all the weathering. Waist belt has been printed. Top chest plate has been printed. These two have been attached with the fiberglass. Still a lot of post-processing needs to be done. TPU for the shoulder strap so that it's flexible. I have no clue how I'm going to post-process these because you can't really sand TPU, but we'll figure that out later. Suit's looking pretty good. I've got TPU in the back around the stomach because I don't want to walk like C-3PO. Let's see, what else? Faceplate has been printed. Ear cuffs for the helmet have been printed. What am I missing out on? Oh yeah, also been experimenting with printing with PETG. I have printed with PETG in the past, but nothing ever, aesthetic, which requires sanding and painting. Only been functional parts. And since I'm doing all of this in my room with the air conditioner, I built a enclosure, if you can call it that, where the printer's just inside. The helmet back is printing. Let's see, fingers crossed I can get it done because I don't really think I have enough filament left in that spool, but let's see how. So yeah, I think now it's time for me primarily to take a break, spray some primer for all the parts that need to be painted, and then clean up this mess, and then probably catch up on like a few hours of sleep, and then get back into the grind. Okay, paint station's ready, parts laid out, alcohol and tissues to give it a wipe down, heat gun to warm up the part, paints are soaking in some warm water, and state-of-the-art ventilation system ready to go. Pop the supports off. On second glance, it actually looks a lot better than I first thought. It's just a little messy here, but that's anyways a smooth curve. I can sand that off. This area as well, but this area needs to be reworked because that's where like the weathered gold part comes. So yeah, overall I think we're good. Not bad for trying to cut quite a bit of time off my print time. Midnight update. It is well past 12 a.m. on this Sunday. I just spent the last hour and a half. It's how I'm doing the gold for the armor. And just the foiling for this part of the blaster took me a bit over an hour. And here's the scope. I have to do the entire suit this way. And if about, let's say, 1 square foot or about 20 gold leaves took me an hour, I wonder how much the next 400 gold leaves is going to take me. Not to mention the painting, the sanding, the printing that's still left. At least the leather work is mostly done. Okay. Lock in. Okay, this is a messy process, but a fun kind of messy. How's it looking? Shine, I think, is worth it though. Tight schedule, but a quick pit stop for maintenance. Nozzle change. Old one is actually pretty decent, but it was time for a change. And at the meantime, giving everything a quick tighten and clean up. Don't skip printer maintenance. Even small, I don't know if you can even pick it up on camera, but even small shakes like this, if adjusted, kept clean, bearings lubricated, printer will run perfectly well throughout how many hours you're printing, especially since I'm doing currently very large prints. Alright, time for another very exhausted update. It's the 15th, it's been 5 days, there's about 5 days left for the event, so which means I realistically have about 3 days, let's say 4 at the most, to be able to wrap up this costume. I've had about 10 hours of sleep in the last 5 days, and we've made some good progress though. In regards to the costume and the leather work, most of it is cut and done. The gold TPU parts are done. All this needs to be stitched, but that's no biggie. The blaster and its holster are completely done. It's a little tight now, I still need to loosen all of that. The blaster is completely done, including the weathering. So this one's ready to go. Here's what the gold foiling looks like in progress. This takes forever, but this we've also made some good progress on the printed parts. If you remember the chest plate, the helmet and all that we were working on, they've gone through about 5 rounds of sanding, and now here's everything that's been printed. Shoulder armor is ready, the lenses are work in progress, the forearm thingy is done, the shoulder straps are done, the gauntlets, the 2 halves are done, the bicep armor is done, the front of the helmet is done. This is the chest plate, it's all been sanded, it's ready to go for one more coat of primer, then paint. This is the back of the chest plate that's been done. This is the knee that's also been next up for all these white painted parts is just doing the gold foiling, which I think I'll wrap up tonight and then try and get some rest, and then comes painting and doing the rest of it. Now what's primarily left is the shin, basically the legs and a lot of the fabric work. I do have this burgundy t-shirt that was there on the mannequin, this one right here, that I'm primarily going to be using as my inner layer, but I haven't figured out what to do for the pants yet. I think I do have another burgundy t-shirt, which I think I should just chop off the sleeves and just use that as like long stockings. That might work as pants, but let's see how that goes. Okay, I think that's it. If this continues for... Actually, no. The spikes in humidity with this rain, and if it actually does continue even any further, I do not think we will be able to finish this costume, because nothing is going to dry, nothing is going to cure. Though it's been raining on my plan and our hopes to be able to get this done before BCC, we've done a lot. So I'm going to slow down or stop for now. Things which would have been done and should have been done today is the final coat for this, the prime for this, the final coat of paint job for this, and starting the work on this. But there's been a lot finished, so the golds actually come out really well. Magnets have been installed for the front of the helmet as well as the face plate, so this now just snaps into place quite well. This is the leg and the shin, which has just been printed and stuck together. Still a lot more work. Hand plates, I figured out how I'm going to attach them. Straps for the shoulders. So my car, while it's still too wet outside and it's still probably going to be raining for the next few hours for me to be able to do anything, I found this jumper. I'm probably going to chop these arms off and use them as my, legs for the pant, because I need the burgundy color. And then I'm probably gonna get to doing a little bit more weathering and some more of the magnet fixing for everything else, and then gonna take this as a blessing, not a curse, and try and get some sleep. Hopefully this rain spell is just a one-off shower that's just come sprinkled to piss me off, and we can get back to our plan tomorrow. Printing wise, pretty much everything is done. There is just one piece. This is our thighs, and once this is pretty much good to go, it's just a matter of sanding and painting. A lot of sanding and painting, but okay, this seems a little counterintuitive, but after I've finished most of the post-processing, now I'm doing the cracks and the grooves, which are later going to be filled on with all the gold. And this is a little example of how it should turn out once I'm done crack filling and then doing all the gold. It's not the easiest task when you are somebody with as unsteady hands as me. But I guess in this scenario the shakiness kind of helps. Not in that way, but that's why we also sand one more time after we're done with this. Why? It's still chucking it down pretty heavily, but here's a sample of a part that has been finished. Don't worry about that scene, there's a part that comes over it. These water droplets are what's coming and really ruining my paint job. The only last part left to paint is this, and then finishing up that chest plate. Okay, roughly marked out the carving points for the left thigh. Hopefully this one goes a little smoother than the rest. Actually pretty good. I think I'm getting the hang of it. The key, I guess, is a very low angle of approach and wait for the soldering iron to get super hot and then just go quick. Ta-da! A lot of extra, but all the parts have been gold foiled. The helmet body, the faceplate, it still needs to be smoothed and brushed, but I need to wait 24 hours before I do so. Even the Even the chest plate has been done. So in another 24 hours, I can buff and polish all of this, get it to a shine, and then do the clear coats. Okay, I might do some reworking here. So the gold has come out really good, but this has actually made some other parts look a little weird. So initially I had planned to fill in these cracks using this gold paint and a brush, but then I don't know if the camera picks it up well enough, but when you look at the gold foil part and the gold paint part right next to each other, they don't quite look as good. This is a good example of what the paint looks like versus, of course, what the foil looks like. So I think I'm going to go over the entire suit, all the cracks, manually by hand and reapply the gold foil for the whole thing. Yes, sir. Doing the gold foil for everything was definitely worth it. I still need to do the lenses, but now all the gold looks even and I love the luster. Let's go. All the parts are done, but before we get into full weathering, I noticed the texture of the weathering. They have added almost gold dusting along with the grime and dirt that is there. So the problem we currently have is we are too pure white and smooth. So I'm going to see what I can do to try and get a gold misting. Maybe just a little bit here and just a little bit here. And I need to be really subtle, so let's see what we can come up with. After a little bit of testing, I figured out I can take this can of gold spray paint and from a really far distance, if I was to just kind of controlling it in places that I want more. And here's it after the spray. I'm not sure how well you can see it, but there is a light dusting of gold, on top of which we are going to build the weathering layers with washes. For the armor, I figured out a fun way to attach everything. I have attached in, I don't know if you can see that, but buckles. So the whole entire thigh piece is what holds the shin piece up, and there are straps here. So what I'm going to do is loop this onto my belt. So the entire leg, the weight is going to be carried by my belt. This should make it easier to move around, and in case something cracks or breaks, I don't think it will fall off. Alright, time to test fit this. So here's how I've attached the legs. It's sitting on belt, and then this would definitely be a lot easier if someone else was here. I think next build I should probably build that Iron Man armor so it goes like shh, 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 shh. This goes this way. And gets stuck underneath. That's just a test fit, let it be. Then nothing's been adjusted yet, so yeah. Helmet. What do you think? But yeah, I have to wear the piece which comes underneath here, so it will restrict a little bit. But I do got this fell off, but I do got a pretty decent amount of movement. Legs are not too bad. Visibility is impossible, as you barely see, and it's really hard to breathe, and I can't look down. So turning is like this, bending is like this. It depends on this part. And ta-da! The finished costume. Every part has a buckle. Each buckle strap has been Each buckle has been covered in a piece of leather as well, so nothing pokes. Straps fully done. The main chest plate has a cloth lining which I have applied fully inside, if you can see. Let's just keep the fiberglass a bit more neater. Painting, weathering, assembly, everything has been done. Stitching, leatherwork, glue, yada 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 yada.